everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem, and we are back today with Rita Berman in her journey through Asia. At the end of the last colouring video, we talked about the paving slabs, and if we remember, I had picked out colours already, so that we could just basically get stuck in today. Just a really quick recap, I'll put the colours down the side for you here. We have the Warm Grey 3, which is 272. I also have the Warm Grey 5, which is 274. And finally, the Nougat, which is 178. I may add pencils here as I go along. If I do, I will let you know what we are adding in. Okay. I would also, just before we get started here, would also like to remind everybody about the upcoming live stream on the 30th of August. It is an afternoon live stream here in the UK, so it's going to be 2 p.m. UK time, and it is WIP Wednesday, or Work in Progress Wednesday, and I encourage you to bring along maybe something that's been sitting for a while, and we're going to work on getting those finished off. It is going to be every second Wednesday, this live stream. It's going to become a regular thing, and there will be a topic of conversation for each live stream. And the topic for this coming live stream is, have art subscription boxes had their day? So if you want to join in with that, you can set a reminder if you go to the live tab on the channel landing page, and you can set yourself a reminder for that live stream. Okay, let's get down to some business here. So I'm starting with my lightest colour, which is quite normal for me, and that is the Warm Grey 3, and I'm going to cover the whole paved area up until these brick parts, because I think this is the interior of the station opposed to the outside area. So we're going to work on the outside area, and I'm going to put a layer of that down over the whole section. Thank you all so much for your comments under the last video regarding the blending and the sky area. It would seem that the patience aspect is quite a big deal for a lot of you, so it's really nice to know that it's not just me and that we're not alone. We're a bunch of impatient so-and-sos. So I was really glad to hear about that, so thank you for your input there, and I hope some of the things that I've mentioned in that last video might help you if you are, if you do get frustrated. When I was reading through your comments, it kind of it took me back to the very first colouring page I ever did. And some of you will know the story about how I got into adult colouring, and it was actually my grandmother, who has since passed away. She was given an adult colouring book at the height of the trend, and she tried, but her arthritis in her knuckles made it too painful to sit for any length of time in colour. And I wasn't into adult colouring at all. I didn't really get it, to be honest. And she said, do you want this book? And I said, well, I'll take it. I don't know if I'll use it or not, but I'll take it. So I took the book. And the rest, as they say, is history. But being a very procedural and scientific person, I was like, well, I'm going to start at the front, and I'm going to work my way through the book. And this book happened to be Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest. So the very first page that I actually coloured was the inside cover, not the nameplate page, the page before that. So it looks like the cover image, but it's on paper, not on the card. And my gran had started scribbling, like she'd started colouring a tiny little bit of it, so I thought I would just carry on from there. And there was so much detail in that, I had this sense of urgency and I kept wanting to push on, and it was really overwhelming. And in that moment I thought, oh no, adult colouring isn't going to be for me. Because it wasn't relaxing at all. It felt very, very overwhelming, and it's like, how am I going to get through all this? And there's so much to colour. How can people do this? And I just wanted to rush through it, and it took me a little while to really get it and understand. That wasn't the assignment kind of thing. So that was quite interesting. But that's default Gem. I don't know what it is. I've had this conversation with a few people. It's come up in discussion. As a young adult, so, in my late teens and early 20s, I was part of the era where efficiency was everything and not a moment of your day should be wasted. And it was all about efficiency and productivity. And that was basically the mantra. Anybody in sales, particularly in the call centre environment, which obviously was booming in the early 2000s before the credit crunch. And I am a product of that environment. I just want to point out here, there are quite a lot of artistic inconsistencies in these pictures, and that's not a slight towards Rita Berman. It's very common in colouring books, but what it does do is it forces you to make decisions about what certain parts are in the image. The example I'm going to give here, as you can see, the outside paving that we've been talking about is these large squares, and there's this line here which we think is the interior of the station, yet those bricks, you know, this brick pattern comes up round the side here. So for consistency's sake, I'm going to keep this part in here the same as this part here. So there might be another part, you know, the interior part of the station might curve round like this. That might be the reason for it. But I say it's just you've got to make decisions about these things. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, so that's me, got my base layer down there. So I'm going to jump to the warm grey 5 now. And we're going to have some fun with some texture here. So there's these individual pavers, and I think she's deliberately made it a bit sort of, not eclectic, what's the word I'm looking for? Random. But that's where we're going to have fun. So if you can imagine, these are, you know, stones set in stones kind of thing. You know, the likes of here, there's a little bit of texture here. So let's play about with this. Let's lay down a little bit of the darker colour here. And maybe really, you know, press a little bit harder there. Round that one edge, and then we can take our nougat, and there's this part that sort of frames that, so let's do the same here. We don't want uniformity, because uniformity, you know, it's kind of boring. But I'll pop a little bit of that just in various places, but what you will see is, as long as you don't press down too hard, if I go back with my lightest grey now and blend that out, it's going to give you that nice, I was talking about French greys in one of the videos that's in the Prismacolor set. That gives you the same sort of idea, and it's halfway between grey and brown, or grey and beige, so it's greyish. The ability to layer and blend these colours will give us more variety in what we're doing in this section. So really now this is just a case of going on a whim. So I'm going to go back to the darkest grey here, and I'm going to work my way around this suitcase handle. I'm actually quite excited about colouring in this suitcase, I'm not going to lie. There we go. And see, I'm not entirely sure what's going on in under here. But let's put a little second layer down. Okay, this is quite a large section here, so, you know, I'm stopping to think about this before I just start chucking down grey pencil, but this is quite a large expanse, you know, that's ensconcing these two other pavers. But interestingly, again, going back to the inconsistency part, you can see the top part of that paving stone there, but there's no hint of it on this side. It's just not there, so we have to make a decision as to what we want to do, and that's why I think I would stick with my lightest colour, because it would make it less obvious. So again, I'm not entirely covering this area, and I'm deliberately making my layers uneven, because that's what makes it look as if it's got texture. I mean, people, like hundreds of people, are going to be walking about on this all day, and we don't know what the stones are made from. I highly doubt they're going to be like high gloss flat paving stones. So let's put this in here. Isn't this little cat adorable? I don't know how it would fare in real life if it had to wear a bow that size right enough, but I'm sure it would get caught in a lot of trees and things. But I suppose for travelling, maybe it wants to look dapper while they're travelling. Maybe Rita likes a dapper cat. So yeah, what sort of level you want to go to here is entirely up to you, like how far you want to push the envelope, so to speak. This train track as well, very generic, not really important. Just going to pop a little bit of the two greys down there just to... because the magical smoke that's coming from the train, I have a funny feeling it's going to be purple and pink. So, you know, or maybe like a bluey purpley colour, we'll see. So the grey underneath's not really going to matter at this juncture. Go back to my nougat. So I'm going to put a fairly even layer down here. Now, I've deliberately picked this for this spot because, again, being quite a neutral colour but a warm colour, I'm going to bring this down in between the cracks, or in between these bricks, or, you know, these kind of like rectangular paving stones, as to what I think is the interior of the train station. So, and this is a theme that's going to carry on up through this brickwork round the outside of the image as well. So that is a deliberate choice. I know things have been quite random up till this point. This one's deliberate this time. And when it comes to the bottom, it's up to you what you want to do. You know, when the image, it doesn't have a hard and fast line like this one at the bottom here. I tend to just sort of just fade it out, so, you know, so you've got your base colour closest in there, kind of like we did up here when we were fading out our sky section. And we'll just pop that down there. Not really an issue, because I'm thinking more, I was actually thinking more like a traditional red brick, And I don't know how British or UK that sounds. I don't know. Not familiar with the buildings in Germany, having only ever whistle stop toured through to other countries. Hello, Belgium, Switzerland. But yes, we'll be going with a red brick. I'm going to bring this down here as well. Okay, quite happy with that. So you can see here there's actually a little bit of texture in this one. So let's take advantage of this and really work in. I'm going to sharpen this up a little bit. I'm so glad I have this set up now. I'm glad I had the chance to think about and choose where I wanted things to go in this new cave. And it's so nice. See things like my pencil sharpener and my go-to pencil case. This stuff, like, I can reach it without getting out my chair. Whereas before I was having to stand up and like stretch across the camera, and so that's a really nice part of the upheaval. So speaking of upheaval, this week we have had double glazing companies in to redo all the doors and windows in the house because they're pretty knackered, honestly. Some of them aren't in really good shape. I'm going to use this dark colour in here as well. I'm really going to darken this down in these two sections here. I'm imagining that would be in shadow as well, which is another reason why I'm doing it. Yes, so all the doors and windows in the house are being replaced, and I was delighted to find out that I can have a sage green front door, and you guys know I'm having a green front door. That's going to be happening. I'll take my lighter grey pencil now for this section here. So I'm actually waiting on a quote from, I got a couple of companies in, I'm just waiting on another quote to see what's what. So next week I will be making a decision as to who we're going with, and that's something else because we are now the window situation is now holding us back from finishing off our lounge because there are two patio doors in our lounge that go out to the garden at the rear of the property, and there's no need for two patio doors, and it makes it really weird for places to put your sofa and that kind of thing. So we're actually bricking one back up and putting it back to a window, which it was before, and we're going to put a sofa across there. So, but we're on a time scale now because our new sofa is it's handmade in Italy, which is lovely, but it's going to be 11 weeks before we get it, but we have to have everything else done. So we kind of need to push on a little bit now. So I'm getting a bit tetchy, and I wish the window companies would hurry up and send their quotes through. Yeah, that's where we're at with that. So still nothing in the living. We basically got two leather armchairs in the living room, and that's it, because we've been bricking up fireplaces and boarding bits out, and it's just been an absolute disaster. But I'm actually missing having somewhere to sit like a normal person, and also can't use my my dining table either. So yeah, you know, I feel as if I'm a student back in my first flat. Sitting with my dinner on my knee. Guess what? One thing is, even from like when I had my first place myself, I had a table and chairs to sit at, and I mean my house was tiny, but I had one of these little ones that folded up from IKEA, like the chairs and the table and everything folded up, and it could just sit in the corner, and you could use it as a shelf. So from you know, very early stages, I always had like a table to sit at to eat, and to not have that now, it's like, oh come on. We've kept that fairly innocuous, which is nice, and I want to pick out some colours for this brickwork here. So let's take a wee look. So automatically in my head, let me just move this out of the way a wee bit. So I've got my little swatch book here, and in my mind straight away I'm thinking about the earthy tones, you know, like the neutral tones and the terracottas and the, you know, that kind of thing. So let's see, here we go, Faber-Castell polychromos. Yeah, so like up in this region here in this little corner. So I don't want it to be too obvious. So again, we can use our greys that we've just been using to mute down the colours. But I was thinking maybe you kind of like the terracotta for a bit of warmth, because again, we want that idea that inside the station's cosy and warm. So we do want to be picking warm colours. So I think that a combination of the terracotta, the sanguine, and maybe a cooler colour as well. Maybe the raw umber. Yeah, let's go terracotta, sanguine, and raw umber. So that is these ones here. So raw umber's 180, terracotta is 186, and the sanguine is 188. I say we can fully utilise our lightest grey pencil again, which was the warm grey 3, and we can use that to kind of help us out here a little bit too. So let's have a little go at this. I would be tempted, you can use one colour per brick if you like. I would be tempted to pick the primary colour, and when I say the primary colour, the most prominent colour for each brick. So if you want to have, you know, a bit of variation there, then plan that out first. I kind of want a bit of uniformity, so I'm taking my terracotta. Now again, you could do this with the sanguine pencil or with the what was the other one we picked? With the raw umber, it doesn't matter. But this would be my preferred method, so I'm going to pop this down. So I want this really warm feeling on this side of things, and the same with the whole pillar structure. I'm going to stick with primarily warm colours there to give that, you know, that cosier feeling. So let's get this down here. I need to fill in this little part in here as well, which you remember was with the Nougat pencil I used there. Again, just trying to keep this consistent. Now, I'm going to make that a little bit darker again because we're obviously going to be in shadow there, so I'll use my darkest grey for that, which was the Warm Grey 3, and I'll just go over the top of that. Yeah, so in other stuff, Thea and I are working away on things for the cave, which will be revealed in due course, but obviously we've started with this Work in Progress Wednesdays. That is going to be a regular feature on the channel, and I'm hoping, internet connectivity dependent, I am hoping that that's going to be every second Wednesday. We'll be able to have an afternoon of catching up with things and working on things that we've been doing, because a lot of the time for me, especially with colouring, I don't get a lot of time to colour outside of these videos, so it'll actually be quite nice to have a little extra bit that's not you know, needing to be a finished product, but just something I can sit and work on. Right, I'm switching here to my my sanguine, and I'm going to pick out a couple of these bricks just to pop this colour on. So kind of the same way I did, you know, it's patchy up here, I'm doing the same down here. We are going to smooth this colour out a little bit more though, and I'm just going to pick out areas of this brick and just smush a little bit of that colour down. Don't have to be too careful here. I'm going to show you why in just a minute. But if you want to make sure you've got like this, really bringing a lot of warmth to these by adding this colour in, this sanguine in, and that's why I've picked it. But yeah, so I want a little bit of that down there. So we're busy here at the cave. We are busy. I'm finishing up a pencil commission as well. It is for a caver. If some of you, I don't know if some of you remember, one of the prizes at Cavemas was an A5 pencil drawing, and the caver that won that, I'm actually working on that for. I did chat to her about it, and obviously wasn't anticipating moving at the, you know, when we were organising Cavemas, which was this time last year. So we had a bit of an understanding, and she's very happy to wait. Christy, if you're out there, thank you for your patience. You're an absolute saint. And I am finishing that up. I will not be using that on the Work in Progress Wednesday though, because I don't want everyone to see it before Christy does. So, but yeah, I'm working on that on the side, but there's loads of little side projects on the go for the cave, so there's quite exciting stuff happening just now, which is really nice. It's nice to get back into it properly. I'm going to go back to my terracotta pencil. I showed you this before, holding my pencil quite far back, and I'm actually going to use the side of my pencil, and I'm just going to go over each brick. It's just a layer of pencil to sort of kind of blend out, but not really the sanguine colour, but it's just to make them look a bit more finished, because it looks as if a 5-year-old's coloured mine right now. So you're still getting that texture and the difference with the fact that you've put down some of the terracotta, but it just looks a bit more kind of like finished and polished. So I'm starting to feel a bit more like my normal self, which is really nice. Just generally, there is a lot of upheaval and a lot of chaos, which I don't do well with when I don't have any control over it, but I'm kind of learning to let it go a wee bit, and I'm relaxing into a routine and a pattern for myself, not just with the cave, but generally here. So that's prompted me to really take a look at myself, start eating properly again. We don't have a proper full kitchen, but I've got enough to be getting on with. So I'm back to eating properly and trying to get myself into some sort of exercise routine. It's really interesting because it's made me realise how stressed I was at the last place. because I want to, like, you know, I feel like I want to eat properly and I want to exercise, and I enjoy exercise and always have, but I've been very limited in like just walking the dogs, whereas I feel as if I need a bit more fulfillment. I am too heavy to run at the moment, that my knee, I'll just blow my knee out. So I went and bought myself a spin bike yesterday. Now I used to go to spin classes years ago, and I remember that the weight dropped off so quickly, even though I didn't need to lose any weight at the time. So I thought it'd be a good idea to buy one and put it in my garage, because that's the only place I've got space to put it. So directly after filming this video, I am going out to make myself saddle sore for the first time in 8 years. I'm probably going to die quietly in a corner afterwards, but that's fine. I'll let y'all know how that goes, by the way. It's going to be awful. I know it's probably going to kill me, but I'm probably going to pass out or throw up, but that's fine. That's one of the reasons I like going to spin classes. And I know for people that don't really like exercise, that sounds ridiculous, but I'm kind of one of these people, like, I have to go hard or go home. Otherwise, I feel like, what's the point? You know, if you're going to go make the effort to do it, you might as well absolutely, like, destroy yourself and then, you know, reap the benefits of it. That's just my theory and I'm sticking to it. Right, okay, let's take a wee look at this pillar here. We'll start on the brickwork series. We've got these colours anyway. So I'm just going to take this Nougat pencil again. That's the wrong one. Good, Jim. And I'm going to go round the outside here of my brickwork on the pillar here. Now I feel like I want this a wee bit darker, so I'm going to press a bit harder and maybe put 2 layers. And I'm focusing solely on the brickwork section for now. Well, you know, there's a lot of intricate stuff going on here, but we'll deal with that after. Let's just get the bricks down. The next thing with the house, apart from the windows, I have a few bits and pieces to pick up for the master bedroom, so for Mr. Jem and I's bedroom. And then, you know, it's going to be done, but we're having to wait till we get paid, which is next week. Annoyingly, Mr. Jem and I get paid on the same day from my proper job and his job. So we're like skint at the same time. And the cave is in debt at the moment, so the cave's not contributing to what's going on. So exactly the same as I did down here. Same technique, same colours, get it a bit matchy-matchy. So anyway, once we get paid, we'll pick up the last few bits and bobs, and at least I'll have one room in the house complete. Here in the cave, I still have the light fixing to put up, which I'm going to get the parts I need again when we go for the stuff for the bedroom. And I need to spray paint our little trolley. I think I'll probably do that as a YouTube short. I'm not sure that warrants a full video, but we're going to give that a bash as well, because at the moment it is like a fuchsia colour, and I want to spray it turquoise to match our beautiful, not gradient wall at the back of the cave. So yeah, that's the last thing. Although it does kind of complement the carpet more. I'm not changing the carpet in here just now, just because the dogs are in here with me all the time. I might as well just leave it, because the carpet will get ruined. See, by the time I drop a million things with my dodgy hand, and Jock smells the place up with his old dog smell, we'll be changing it out soon enough. And when it does finally get wrecked, I am going to change it out for a hard floor. And then at least when I'm dropping stuff with my weird hand issues, then I can just wipe it up. So that's the plan. So unfortunately, it doesn't fit with the aesthetic. Like the dusky pink carpet doesn't really go with how cool everything else is in the cave, but it's staying. So I've got that. I've got the trolley to do, and then this is just the sanguine as before. Even this out a little bit. After that, I've got frames to put up on the wall. I did have in the old cave, some of you might remember, above the mantelpiece, which was like, as you were looking at the screen, that was to the right hand side of where I filmed. I had frames up on the wall with all you cavers artwork in it. I've decided I'm going to do that on a smaller scale, but I am looking for fresh artwork or colouring pages. So if you're particularly proud of something that you've drawn or coloured, send me a digital copy, and I'll pick my favourites and put them up on the frames on the wall, and you'll be able to see them during the live streams. So please feel free. You can send them to the cave email address, which is, well, my email address, which is colourcavegem@gmail.com. I would be happy to receive. I'll announce that in the live stream as well, and probably the next video too. If anybody wants to send me their stuff, that would be marvellous. Okay, I'm quite happy, and I'm quite happy that we're keeping the warm colours here as well. This is good. So let's go up here. So there's quite a difference in the style of the bricks up here. These ones here. So I'm going to use a different colour for these stippled areas, but the actual bricks themselves, I'm going to keep the same colour. So I'm not really sure. I kind of want to put my own bricks. I feel like there should be a brick in there. Struggling for the right pencil here. Good grief. So I've got my nougat here. These little stars are adorable as well. I love stars. Again, some of you already know that. I have stars everywhere. Stars are my favourite pencil case. So these really tickle me. The likes of here, I'm not really sure what to do here because I kind of want to make that a brick. So I'm just going to make it a brick. And again, trying to put some of this into some sort of semblance of order. Right, okay, let's do that. So these ones I'm going to keep the same as these ones down here because it's the same pillar, and although they're larger, it's the same sort of style. Get that tucked in there. I say I've kind of created my own brick in here. Wonder if I've got a little yeah, there's a fine liner. Again, nothing wrong with doing this. I've got this Edding fine liner. It's a 0.1, and I'm just going to add in a brick there. That's better. Went outside the lines a wee bit there. Oh no. I was really keen to get this filming done fairly early this morning because apparently it's to become very windy here just shortly. And because we still have the old windows, when it is windy, they whistle. And like we've got enough background noises here in the cave. We don't need whistly winds as well. So I thought I'll just get up and get on and get this done because it's still quite early. It's only 8:24, and we've been at this for about half an hour already. So up and going early this morning, but that's the way we do things here in the cave. You all know I'm an early riser. Don't ask me to do anything after like 3 in the afternoon because it's not going to happen. But if you want stuff done, give it to me first thing and just wind me up and watch me go. It's really funny because Mr. Jem's the total opposite. He is a night owl and I've got to drag him out of bed in the morning. I find it hilarious that I'm married to a farmer that can't get out of bed in the morning. Like, did you ever hear of a farmer that can't get out of bed? Not great. I mean, he does try, and we make a point of going to bed fairly early because Mr. Jem's like a 9-hour sleeper. So he tends to catch up at the weekends now as well, which was just an opportunity that wasn't there before because there were no weekends off at the old place because Mr. Jem used to work, ridiculous hours. I mean, he still works a lot of hours, but it's not anything like it was. So tomorrow morning he has informed me that he will not be getting out of bed before 9 o'clock. He's going to have a proper lie-in tomorrow. So I was like, yeah, that's, you're fully entitled to that. Okay, I'm going to grab this sanguine now. It's quite interesting because, and you can see it happening at night. See, after you've had some dinner, and if we eat quite late, it's like usually maybe, I don't know, 7:30-ish. Here in the UK, like a normal dinner time can be anything between 5 and 7, I would say, for most people. Sometimes it's as late as 8 o'clock. I generally can't eat after 8:30 because it keeps me awake at night. So yeah, we do go to bed quite early unless we've eaten very late, and we try to do that so that Mr. Jem's got a better chance of getting up in the morning. But usually I'm awake before his alarm goes off. I don't need an alarm to get up in the morning. I'm usually awake before his alarm goes off, and I kind of like start to wake him gently. So like I'll give him a little shake of like 4 or 5 minutes before his alarm's about to go off, and just try and ease the pain for him. But at night time, after we've had dinner, he just sort of springs to life, and then he starts trying to calculate things and ask me difficult questions, and then he wants to like do paperwork for his cattle herd, and the cattle have ear tags with a number on it. It's a bit like us having a passport number, and those numbers are a holding number, which is 6 digits. So that's basically your house number, and then the cows have an individual number beside that, and that's a 6-digit number too. So Mr. Jem's asking me to like remember 12-digit numbers at 10:30 at night, and I'm like, no, that's not happening. Like, go away. And that happens all the time, and I have to say to him, like, you can't do this with me. If you want my help, it has to be in the morning, because otherwise I'll make mistakes. So that's actually been a bone of contention with us over the years, but we've kind of like met in the middle, so it's like we do stuff at lunchtime now. Right, okay, for these bricks here that are a little bit different, and I'm going to incorporate those ones into the same sort of idea. So this row of bricks here and this sort of stippled effect, I am going to bring in the raw umber here. So that's going to be the base coat on these ones. You can see it's still a lovely warm colour. I actually really like this colour. and it's a colour that I use fairly frequently. This is my second raw umber pencil. The first one went down to a stub. So, you know, it's in frequent use. Somebody asked me that not that long ago. I mean, I should maybe do a Q&A with stuff like this. What my most used polychromos pencil was. And you know, I didn't know the answer until about 10 seconds ago, because just when I was talking about that being my second raw umber, even more so, this is my second earth green, and look at the size of it. So yeah, this is very close to my favourite colour of green, and yeah, these used a lot. But if we think back as well, the fact that the one and only colouring book that I've completed is Enchanted Forest, I used a lot of greens in that. So goes without saying. See, again, there's, I don't know what's going on in this corner, and I don't know why this shape is here either. This is, I'm going to have to figure that out. I'll have a little think about that. So that we've got this sort of right angle here when this is magical fairy dust. I don't know. Right, we'll figure it out later. I think I'll probably make that part the same colour as the top of the train. That's probably a good shout. Right, we've got this line here, that's fine. So again, just keep going, get this base layer down. This kind of reminds me, see, just using this colour, it reminds me of the old tiles in some of the older underground stations in London and in Glasgow. It's like a terracotta tile that's in the tube of Glasgow. Some of the stops. That's what this reminds me of, and I'm not gonna lie, I quite like it. Although I am very much a country bumpkin, I do enjoy visiting cities, and Glasgow is one of my favourite places to go. And I don't care what MD says, but everybody out our way is friendly. Glasgow is a friendly city. It really is. Right, okay. I would also like to point out I have not ventured into Edinburgh yet either. I'm not a frequenter of Edinburgh. It's a nightmare to drive around. Like, you just don't want to be driving in Edinburgh. But I am going to be making a point of going. Mr. Jem's birthday is coming up, and it's a big birthday. Shh. I didn't tell you that though. So we're probably going to do something special. So we might go into Edinburgh for that. Okay, so now with these umbery coloured ones, I just want to stick the nougat in between again. Get that bit sorted. And the same over here. So I've got there's just like one line like this. What do I do over here? I don't know what to do over here. I think we might go the old sanguine. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but never mind. Yeah, the more I look at this part up here, I think I'm going to just continue the colour of the train on into that section there, and I'll make this whatever colours we decide that we're using down here. I think that's probably the best idea. So then what I want to do next is I want to continue to use the nougat colour, but use it on these actual stippled parts of these bricks. And we'll stick that down. I was trying to think there, my wee brain was working away. If anybody who has frequented London can jog my memory for me. One of the train stations, and I want to say it's Baker Street. Oh, I don't know. That was so long ago. I think it might be Baker Street Station, but it has the longest staircase out of any of the underground stations, and obviously there's escalators and things now, but the original old staircase is still there, and you can still walk up and down it, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of steps. I remember going up it with my friend, and I had to stop in the middle, and again, I was fairly fit at that point, but when we were running late, we were almost running up them, and I was like, dude. I also smoked at that point as well, so unsurprisingly that didn't help. But yeah, that's in the back of my mind. I'm sure it's Baker Street Station, but say someone correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it was near the Hippodrome. I don't know. Anyway, right, that's it. That's bringing us on a little bit. Like, oh, so we can see what I mean about the warm colours and, you know, really keeping that sort of cosy sense. So the same with these sort of fancier bricks along the top as well. We'll get them finished off, and I think that'll be us for today, and we can carry on with the rest of the archway next time. It's always nice to stop and look at your progress, I think. I want to do a little bit down here as well before we finish up too. Okay, so using the nougat pencil, again, it's really up to you how you want to approach this or what you want to have, you know, where you want that accent. Now for me, I want a little bit of shadow, but I kind of want to point out that this like there's swirly bits here, like swirly bits is all very technical, you know. So like in here it's gonna be really dark in there. Like, yeah, come on now. We can lighten that up a bit if you want. I'm gonna make that super dark in there. Okay, that's fine by me. And then just back to my raw umber. And just a quick layer over the top there, again, just blend out some of that colour. Now the really nice thing about this, and the reason I've kind of kept it hanging around, the warm grey 3 is a nice colour to use on top of stuff like this, specifically for shadows. So if I just grab it here, so the likes around this sort of fancy part, if I just stick some of that warm grey, it adds a little bit of darkness without actually taking away the colour of what's there. And I want to do the same down the bottom here. So for example, Mr. Pussycat here, clearly he's sitting there. We want a wee cast shadow under him to ground him, you know, to make him look like he's actually sitting there. So if I just run that grey pencil underneath, you can see obviously he's sitting down, but it just grounds him a little bit. And you can still see, because the pencils have a degree of transparency about them, you can still see the colour of the bricks through the grey. So you can make that as subtle as you want. Now, if the light source was coming, you know, if there was a lamppost behind the cat, you can make this shadow longer this way. Or if it was, you know, he had a very distinct source coming from the left, you could make it go this way. But I think the light's probably, you know, as I mentioned at the very beginning when we started this picture, I think the light's actually coming from where we are standing, so there wouldn't be much of a cast shadow, so that's why I'm keeping it quite tight in the bottom of the pussycat. So I'll do the same here with this guitar. I know it's kind of out of the frame of the picture, but just a little bit to show that that's the part that's sitting on the ground. And again with the suitcase, we might have to go a bit darker in here, but that's okay. And there we go. And now that's just one of those little touches that's not going to make or break your picture, but it's just nice to add in. Okay, that is it for today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. We've made a good wee bit of progress here. Everything's looking lovely. So the next time when we come back next Thursday, I would like to finish off this beautiful archway here and really, really lock in that cosy feeling of our interior part of our train station. So thanks very much for coming and hanging out. Don't forget about the live stream on the 30th of August. Hopefully I will see some of you there, and some of you that won't be able to make it can watch after the fact. So have a great day everyone, and bye bye for now.